So DarkSlide, this is of course a behind the curtains look at this said product by a lovely gentleman called Christopher Ramsay. Well, he's probably not called Christopher, it's probably Chris, because he's really cool and he wears his cap like that, which he really rocks, and he has a beard, and I can't do either of them, so I won't. So the effect broken down is you have a card selected, peeked at, and then you fan the cards out, and just like that with the rub of your thumb, you get one card to visually reverse itself. And that turns out to be the spectator's card. I say turns out to be. What's nice about DarkSlide is that they're actually looking at their card when it flips over. So it's not kind of turns out to be their card. They're looking at that card in the fan, and then that it pops over. So I'll tell you what, why don't you have a look at the trailer? I think that would be a good idea. Let's stick that on right now.
What is magic? A better question might be, what is magic to you? Is it a visual moment? Is it creating something impossible or unexplainable? You got the card? Yeah. Remember, you guys see it? Still see it? Or maybe it's about connecting with people and leaving them with something unforgettable. What is magic to me? I don't think I figured that out yet. My name is Chris Ramsay, and this is DarkSlide.
So having had a look at the trailer and seeing somebody probably a lot more skilled at doing, I say probably, definitely a lot more skilled at doing that than I've only opened this project up this morning. So DarkSlide, that's literally one of the first few performances I've ever done of it. So we've got a few questions. There are a few questions that we were sort of wondering about whilst we were waiting for this. And so they're the sorts of questions like, if you are really bad at fanning, do you have to do a fan to do this trick? The answer is yes. You do have to do a fan, really, but it's not hard to do, and when you do the fan, you can do some readjusting, you know, so you don't have to make a perfect fan. In actual fact, you don't really want it to be an exact perfect fan or anything like that. So just a standard fan with a worn-in deck of cards, and you'll be fine. You can do some repositioning of all the cards, thus making their card visible to them. Obviously, Chris goes into this on the tutorial quite a lot. He goes into it from the front at first, and then he has an over-the-shoulder camera shot, which he shows everything so that you get what you see as a magician and what the spectator sees, which is quite nice. That's a good little touch there. He also had some smoke involved, which is pretty cool. So I should. His tutorial on it's really quite nice. I mean, he teaches you everything that you need to know. He runs through just little things that you might find when you start doing this and how to overcome them. Simply like, as you fan, there might be something, if you're using a new deck, there might be a reason why their card isn't showing. It kind of grips to the gimmick a little bit, but he runs through exactly what you need to do in order to not be worried about that. So he does a bit of, you know, he gives you some good advice along the way, as well as teaching the actual workings of the effect, which is really cool. So is there a setup? Yes, there is. There's a very minimal setup. You need to add the gimmick to your deck, so it is a very minimal setup. You also there is a signed card version that's taught, and you perform the setup whilst you're doing that version. As you know, you can easily add this gimmick to your deck when they're signing the card or whatever you want. So that's pretty nice that there's a signed card version. Chris does actually say he never really uses it. He just added it for completeness sake, which I can understand, because I think if you want to do this over and over again, then you don't want to keep having a duplicate signed, or else you have to buy a one-way force deck of that card. So maybe for a special performance or for a camera performance, it's worth going that extra mile. But for an actual just walk around performance, then there's no real need for it at all. How practical is it? I'd say this is actually really practical. It's a gimmick which is known. It's a known gimmick in Magic. It hasn't been applied like this, I don't think. Chris has tried to do as extensive a research as possible on the type of gimmick that this is, and he gives you some good background on it. But it's one of those things that's been around so long, nobody really knows who the originator is. So it's, you know, it is a method that's been used throughout Magic for years and years and decades. So it is a practical method. The gimmick is well made. It's perfectly, you know, it comes out of the packet, you're ready to go. How durable is the gimmick? So the gimmick is actually, it's a card gimmick. So if you're going to sit on it or do something silly, then you are going to, you know, mess it up. If you take care of it though, then it should last you a while. There are two factors on it though that will need a bit of replacing over time, I would say. It's not hard to do. In fact, actually, one of them could be immensely easy and very, very cheap if you just email us the letters LSQ. Or actually, put the title LSQ, give it to me, and send it to support@magicshop.co.uk, and we'll forward you a free video from our friend Alan Rorison, which covers one of these topics. So that's all for free there. Beginners. Should I try this? If you're a beginner, should you try it? I would say there's no reason why not to, because it's one of these tricks that you kind of have to get the handling for anyway. So because the gimmick actually helps with the selection of the card, and then you go straight into the effect from that, you kind of have to learn it anyway. So if you're dexterous already with cards, then it's obviously going to be a bit quicker to get to grips with it. But if you're a beginner, there's no reason why you shouldn't try this right now, because it really is, it's very easy to do, and you'll probably find that the gimmick actually helps you in certain areas. So I'd give it a go if you're a beginner, definitely. I don't see why not. There's no reason why not to start. You know, if you wanted to become a master sleight of hand artist, it's going to take you a long time, but you've got to start somewhere. So not that this is that hard at all, because DarkSlide isn't. So yeah, do it, try it, why not? So having played with this all morning, what are my thoughts? I like this. I think I can see myself using this. It would be a nice gimmick to have on me just for when I do walk around performances. It's got a nice version on there, which is actually a photo version. It's inspired by Assy Wynn's double exposure, which I do a lot, which I love. So with this, with DarkSlide, the idea is that they're holding the fan themselves, and they can see their card, and you say that you have a phone that can take a photo in the future, and you snap a photo and you leave that there. It could be on their phone as well. There's no reason why it can't be on their phone. But then as they're holding the fan, you run your thumb along the fan, and then they visually see their card reverse, and then they can look at the opposite side of the fan with their card reversed, and then they look at the photo and the card is reversed, even though it wasn't beforehand, technically. So yeah, there's this nice little version which you can leave a photo on their phone, which I really like. So I can see myself doing that quite a lot, actually. I think that's a nice way. I think whenever you can have, I do things like I'll airdrop my contacts to somebody on the phone. So if I'm doing a trick with a phone with a photo, then that's a perfect opportunity to then airdrop my contacts to them and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why I like this. another reason is because it's practical. You just add the gimmick and you're good to go. So the only thing is that through continued use, you are going to have to replace or repair these parts on this gimmick. A lot of gimmicks have this sort of thing. The way this is set up, the way it's made, it'd be very, very easy to do those alterations or you know, to bring it back to life, if you know what I mean. So overall, I give DarkSlide the big thumbs up. So Chris, good job on this. Yeah, I don't think you'll be let down. If you have any problems, then always email us at support@magicshop.co.uk. I've been Ben Williams. This has been another behind the curtains look at DarkSlide.